Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're having a great day. So today I want to talk about Electroneum. Then we're going to talk a little bit about Wise token, which I believe might be the new hex. And we want to talk about BTCmyk reaching possibly 2.5 users, right? So we're going to talk about all those things today in this episode. So let's first get started with Electroneum. Electroneum's Richard Ells not long ago did an interview with Charlie Shrem. So if you don't know what Charlie Shrem is, I believe he was the CEO of a company called BitInstant. We're talking about maybe one of 10 people who knew about Bitcoin in the beginning, and one of the first people to create and build a Bitcoin-based business, right? So this is he's the first guy to figure out how to build a business around Bitcoin products and make millions upon millions of dollars. Now, where Charlie Shrem ends up getting in trouble is he is aware of what's going on with Silk Road, and his company is connected and doing business or allowing business to be done and money exchange rather from drugs on the Silk Road, right? So, of course, when you get into that territory, you're in excuse me, guys, you're in deep waters then, right? Because now you're facilitating the trade of currency, U.S. dollars, and so on and so forth for illegal activities, right? And you're a company, so they can see you. So Charlie Shrem, pretty much goes down for that. He ends up going to prison. With other people involved in that entire situation with Silk Road, and then the rest is history, and we know the story as it continues on. But to say anything less than Charlie Shrem was a pioneer into cryptocurrency would be a mistake. He certainly was one of those people who were at the dawn of cryptocurrency. He goes to do this very interesting interview with Richard. I think it's probably one of the best interviews. In fact, I'm just going to say it. It's the best interview Richard Ells has ever done in regards to Electroneum, because I think it really cuts to a real understanding of what Electroneum is. And Richard Ells speaks a lot about how they stayed away from the speculative nature of the market, and they just fixed on the utility of the project and with people actually using it, doing something with it. And we know it usually works in reverse with cryptocurrency. Usually in cryptocurrency, it has been this image and this story about you can get rich, so just FOMO in, and people aren't really doing anything with these cryptocurrencies. They're not changing anybody's lives, they're not changing their own lives, they're just speculating to get rich. And so a lot of that gets covered. But what seems to be the mystery with Electroneum is that due to just trying to fixate on a utility of a coin, went in a space that's driven by greed and trading and Ponzi schemes and pyramid schemes. It really sounds bad when I say it like that, doesn't it? Right? But you guys know it's true. That's what happens, right? Most of you aren't really using these cryptocurrencies to do anything with them. In a space like that, in this, it doesn't reward good projects, right? But I think what came out in this interview was that even though it doesn't do that, people still recognize that it's doing a good thing, it's doing a valuable thing that means something. And I believe that's why Electroneum was able to gather such large community, and that people be happy about their involvement in Electroneum. Most people who are involved in Electroneum really just like the product. And that goes back to my first lesson in investing. Invest in things you like, right? It doesn't say anything about invest in things that make a lot of money. It doesn't say anything about worry about your downside potential. It says to invest in what you like, what you use, and what you like, right? And so I think that's been the story with Electroneum, right? Electroneum has probably one of the biggest communities, crypto, one of the most loyal and supportive communities, despite losing a lot of money since the ICO, and that's just the power of a good product. I think that's also important to your instincts in investing as well, that you see a good product that's good for people, useful to people, and good for the world, and where you support that project. It's rare in cryptocurrency, but it does occur. And Electroneum has that formula, and that's what Charlie Shrem was so impressed with. But as Electroneum goes on, we're seeing that it's attracting a lot of bigger content creators. I remember I was one of probably the first people. Well, I won't say the first. I wasn't one of the first people to start talking about Electroneum, but I was one of the early people to start talking about it. And when we started talking about Electroneum, I remember a lot of guys who used to talk about Electroneum don't hardly see them anymore. I guess only so much a person could take, but one of my complaints was none of the big content influencers, they overlook Electroneum. They don't talk about it. And now that seems to be changing. We're seeing the biggest, content influencers come out now after all this time, but they're coming out now and saying, Electroneum is this great product that does this and it does that. And they're not talking negative about Electroneum. Even though the price is still not impressive at all, it still hasn't done much of anything. Many people believe because the supply is so low, it's just so much inflation, it's just so much going out of this thing, so much to maintain this thing. But at the same time, we know that it can do good for the world, and we know people can find use in it. So I think that's what makes the happy investor, the idea that you could potentially make some money, but at the same time, you're involved in a good product that's helping people, right? And that's another level of investing, right? That's something that you're probably not going to see in a lot of DeFi projects. You're probably not going to see in a lot of the cryptocurrency projects because most of them don't have any utility, right? So very interesting. I love the interview. Like I said, it's probably one of my best. I highly recommend, watching that thing. I think you'll walk away with it and kind of understand why people have been so supportive of Electroneum, right? I think they get it. I think Electroneum people actually get it. They're one of the few people in cryptocurrency who do. But great interview. Check it out. Let me know what you think. Let's segue over now to Wise Token. What's going on with that? What is this project Wise Token? All right, we're here at Wise Token. And so Wise Token is, basically saying, is it the new Hex coin? And so a real quick history lesson, what was Hex coin? Some would argue Hex coin was one of the first significant DeFi projects on Ethereum that it turned out to be a success, came in with a lot of controversy, came in with language and imagery that was reminiscent of scams in cryptocurrencies, your BitConnects as it were. And it turned out to be a legitimate project with a very charismatic leader behind it, Richard Hart, who had a pretty good cryptocurrency presence, as it were. Made a lot of good points and very well versed in how he discusses cryptocurrencies and just good at making a lot of sense to people. But whereas a lot of people either rose or fell with the Hexcoin project, there were some people who were very skeptical of it and very doubtful of it, and to the point that they thought that there could be some type of nefarious activities going on, so things like the Hex coin being recycled, right? The Ethereum being recycled. And just creating this unsustainable product, as it were, and driving a lot of down into Hex coin investors. The difference with Wise Token is the person who started, I believe he goes by the name of Crypto Nightly. He decided to do something about it. He decided to basically create, I guess what you could say, a competition for Hexcoin. And that was kind of, I don't know, it was, at the time he was going in that direction. I guess Hexcoin was starting to do pretty good, but I think it was still kind of in uncertain territory. But maybe I guess it moved along well enough for him to think it was a good move to make. Now, it took him a long time. I think it took him over a year now when he got started, or close to a year. And he seems to be just launching a project right when Hexcoin is about to go into its its end of its big payday period, right? Or launch phase, right? And so that's very interesting because with the Hexcoin project, a lot of things in that the referral programs, the staking, and the creating of new hex, and it's just going to have its fixed supply from that point on. And Wise token is kind of just getting started. So why this is interesting is Hexcoin. A lot of people are uncertain about what happens after big payday. As we just segued out of our last segment, we talked about utility, right, and the importance of that. And so some of the problem with this store of value idea and time locking ideas and staking ideas is although this does a lot for value and pushing up prices, at the end of the day, some people I think feel a little bit uneasy about, well, what's really driving this? Is it just what's the utility of this? And some people would say, well, it is the store of value and the ability to do that and the time locking. But I still think for some people that might not quite be satisfying enough. And so we're kind of faced with this idea or this situation in these type projects. Are the launch phases the best parts of them to make the most money? Because it seems like most of the perks of it goes away after the launch phase, right? And does it continue to be this viable, valuable product, or what happens, right? Now, one good thing about it as well is that these things seemingly, if they're done right, are kind of hard to do. Looks like takes quite a bit of money to get the audits done, to set this thing up, the marketing, and so this isn't probably going to be something that you're going to see popping up every week, like some things we've seen. Probably going to be a lot harder to do that, and that's a good thing. But for the Hex project to have some competition, or for another project to step forward to have more features, now that the Hex coin model has been proven to work and it's made a lot of people a lot of money, I think a lot of people are going to be interested in this project. Now, it just launched the other day. I missed it. I kind of was following Crypto Nightly a bit, and I learned about this project early on. I wasn't sure if it was a good idea or not, especially that we hadn't really seen fully what was going to happen with Hexcoin, right? If Hexcoin was going to really improve or not, because of course Hexcoin went through a lot of problems and price declines, but Hexcoin proved to be a workable model at the end. And will Wise Coin be able to do that? Will Wise Token be able to do that? I think it will. And as one of the first people report, I seem to be first on many of these great projects, right? I talk about how I was one of the first Electroneum people. That really talk a lot about Electroneum when people weren't talking about it. I remember talking about Hex like in 2018 when a lot of people didn't know what it was. We was calling it Bitcoin Hex back then. From the referral program, I got millions of Hex. Didn't invest one dime in Hex coin, but I walked over with millions of Hex, and that was just from referrals. And it seems that this is going to happen again, because what I think is going to be a good idea is for people to get into Wise Coin. I'm going to tell you why. I think it's going to be a good idea, especially for people who missed the beginning of the Hex Coin project, or you were slow to that. Well, now's your chance, right? History repeats itself. You're back right at the the same situation. And again, why I think Wise will perform well is because Wise, the model's proven to work now. Wise is probably at around a pretty low price. They're going to be looking for the thing to do a 10x or 100x or something, the worst case scenario. And the person running it seems to be pretty stand up. He seems to be a pretty humble guy, seems to be a fair guy. And I really like this guy, Crypto Nightly. I like how he approaches things. I like how he understands the danger of greed in the cryptocurrency markets, how greed can cloud the judgments of good projects and how it can take away so much. And whereas I like Richard Hart a lot, Richard to me has failed to really, in some sense, where he's magnificent at driving home the proper understanding of projects and how they work. I think when it comes down to the trust factor of putting your money into something and that in that sense, I think, you know, there's a lot of controversy that follows Richard Hart. And so this Crypto Nightly guy, although he's not very known, he comes across as a person who's really cares about crypto. He seems to be more so one of the normal cryptocurrency people that, just like yourself and I, got in, tried to invest, probably got scammed a lot, probably lost a lot of money, and decided that they need to do something on their own that was the right way to do things. And so he seems to be bringing that message home quite well. So it's definitely a project I want to get involved with. And now it's a referral program, which I think are awesome. That's how I made all my money. I didn't risk a dime, and I felt so much better about doing that, especially when there was so much uncertainty going in. Now a lot of people are more confident about these projects, so it's going to be a lot less friction. Excuse me, but wow, I'm just having a drop the mic day today. But being one of the first people to talk about Hex and making millions of dollars, or millions of Hex rather, from it, the people who followed the channel, they made a lot of money, I'm sure. Didn't give me one donation. It is not that I want the donation. I made enough Hex, but I created the BTCmyk UBI program, Universal Basic Income Program. I'm going to talk about a little bit in my next segment. And I would have loved if they put some money into that, to help people around the world who don't got a sandwich to eat, and all this great stuff with all this money being made, something I believe to be a mass adoption vehicle in the future. They didn't do that. Shame on you guys, but you got a chance to reprieve yourselves with the WISE token, right? And I know a lot of you guys are going to probably want to try it, because it's probably likely, these models are designed to go up in value. And it's probably likely they're going to do that, right? It's probably going to happen. Now, I don't generally like projects where you got to put up upfront costs. One thing I liked about the Hexcoin project was that if you had Bitcoin, you could get some Hex free and so on and so forth, right? Because the problem is when you're promoting for people to put up their own hard-earned money for this and so on and so forth, it can, it can backfire, and it could be a very bad situation for them. So I would recommend that people be careful with this. If you haven't had any experience with a project like Hex first, go do a lot of research first. Do everything you can. Do the referral program. Try to figure out ways to make money off this without spending your upfront money. If it just gets to the point you're confident in it, or you made a lot of money from Hex, watching my videos or dealing with me, you're confident, go ahead and do that. I think it's gonna probably, I can't say 100%, but it wouldn't shock me if it works out pretty well for you. And I can tell you with me, whereas I made a lot of mistakes with Hex, I trusted a lot of people, I gave a lot of people money, public keys to back the BTCmyk project, and they stole. That won't be happening this time around. So I believe I'm going to get right back to where I was before, but I'm going to be a lot wiser this time. So WISE token, again, I didn't go in the description about it, but it's the same thing as Hex. It's a store of value. It's totally decentralized, right? And again, with this situation where I think Richard had the or the Hexcoin project had the founders' wallets and all of that, and you didn't know who owned it and stuff. I think with Crypto Nightly's situation, it's a lot more transparent, and he certainly, I don't believe, he's going to be able to, to make anywhere near the kind of money that they were talking about. The founders' wallets owned in Hex, like 40% of that Hex and all that. So, that's all very interesting to see what's going to happen with that. You can also refer for this as well. But now the setback is you got to reach about 50 Ethereum value, 50 Ethereum to be able to to take the referral commissions. And I'm confident I'm going to be able to get that, because I think you guys are great. We did it before. I think you guys are going to get me there again. And I think that's going to work out pretty well. But the good thing about it is, once you do that, from my understanding, what I heard, there is no ending of the referral program. So it's not like Hex where everything ends, right? You're able to keep going with this. And that's very important for me because I feel more confident making cryptocurrency that way. What else we got here? And I think that's about it. All I want to say, because Hex is, if you understand how Hex coin works, Wise token is the same thing. Like I said, it's just a kind of a division in the philosophy of the coins. Wise token seems to be more geared toward this is specifically for the people and protecting against scams, whereas Hex coin started off that way, but the idea started floating around that maybe it wasn't, as honest a project, as many would think. And with some of the past history of Richard Hart, some people have tried to use that as justification that it's not. So, but that's all I want to say on that. I'm going to leave my Wise token link in the description. Guys, if you use the link and you make a lot of money off this thing, which you probably will, this time around, make sure you donate to our Universal Basic Income Program. Don't be a cheapskate like you were this time around, right? Make sure you make some donations to help some people if you want to show appreciation for getting this knowledge and information to help you go forward, all right? So that's all I want to say with Wise Token. And this, we're going to go over to BTCmyk, and we're going to close out the video. All right, over on BTCmyk.com. Not going to say a lot about BTCmyk.com in this video because video has went long enough, but I always like to get in our project that we believe is a mass adoption vehicle. Question real quick, can BTCmyk reach 2.5 billion users? So we know that Facebook right now has about 2.5 billion users. It is basically moonlight around that, I believe, and worth about $1 trillion now, something like $700 billion, something like that, from the size of the network. Now, a lot of things will have to happen in cryptocurrency for those numbers to be reached. For one thing, the reason Facebook is able to do it is it's based on freemium services. You get to join Facebook, you get to use it, you don't pay a dime any upfront cost of doing it. So at BTCmyk, we try to model our at least the growth of it behind something like that, where people can get involved, grow the network. It doesn't cost them anything, yet they have the access to it, right? Another thing, BTCmyk works on not only a deflationary product, a coin that moves similar to what you get with the Bitcoin halving, but it distributes UBI every month automatically to people's wallets. So UBI, we're looking at probably 80% of the globe opting for UBI. And so you can see where that becomes very possible that we can have a possibility of 2.5 billion users, right? It's possible. Didn't say we'll do it, but it at least potentially exists in a realistic scope. So being part of cryptocurrency you can get a part of now, just join free today. Be a part of something that could possibly be worth $1 trillion. You have that opportunity now. It's a great project, and I think it's one you guys will like. But that's all I'm going to say in this video. If you like content like this, don't forget to like, subscribe, and until next time, as always, take care.